Hey guys, welcome to Medicare Minute. So in this episode, I want to talk about leasing space to operate a private practice in a gym or another facility as a Medicare provider. There's limited documentation out there that's current. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the established guidelines that I found, which I think date back to 2004, I think, and hopefully Nancy or Rick might have some updated literature for us. But let's start here. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's the main document. I zoomed in so you guys could see it a little bit better. But basically what it's saying is services should be furnished in a therapist's or group's office or in the patient's home. The office is defined as the location where the practice is operated in states where the therapist is legally authorized to furnish services during the hours that the therapist engages in the practice at that location. So that's kind of an important part for what I'm going to talk about next. During the hours. If services are furnished in a private practice office space, that space would have to be owned, leased, or rented by the practice and used for the exclusive purpose of operating the practice. For example, a therapist in private practice may furnish aquatic therapy in a community center pool. The practice would have to rent or lease the pool for those hours, and the use of the pool during that time would have to be restricted to the therapist's patients in order to recognize the pool as part of the therapist's own practice, offering those hours. So let's expand on that. You know, the most common situation you guys are getting into or that you're seeing is that you want to get into a CrossFit gym, a Pilates studio, a yoga studio, something like that. And they have a room that's for lease. And you want to be able to lease that room, but you also want to use kind of the community space for billable services. And I think that's where people are getting, blurring the guidelines a little bit. So if you go into a CrossFit gym, and you talk to the owner and you guys decide, okay, I'm going to rent this room. It's a 10 by 12 room. I'm going to pay $500 a month, right? Now you don't have to have that room all the time. It doesn't have to be yours 24/7. The gym owner might say, well, we need this room so you can have it Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. And as long as that's documented in the lease, the hours and the days that you have exclusive use of that room, you're going to be covered. Now, the issue comes with you're really only allowed to provide physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech services in that room as billable services. But let's say you want to take your patient out into the community gym. Technically, that's not part of your space anymore. You're not allowed to treat that patient outside of the patient's home or your private practice space, which is the space that you rent. So there would be no difference in the eyes of Medicare if you rented a 10 by 12 room and you took one step outside of that room to use the open gym that's attached that you're not renting, that you don't have exclusive use of, or you took the patient down the street to a YMCA. You know, that is not your space. Now, I will tell you that you could get into a situation where, let's say you rent that 10 by 12 room, you rent it for whichever days and hours of the week you want, but then you also rent a section of the gym. And again, as long as it's indicated within the lease agreement, this space is yours, exclusively used by you for the purposes of whatever profession, whatever services you're delivering, PTOT speech. Now you can extend out into that space. So a classic setup, I work out at a CrossFit gym. I'm not totally sure of the details, but basically the owner of the gym is leasing space to a physical therapist, not me. The physical therapist is leasing a private room, which is, from what I understand, where they do most of their evaluations and their one-on-one. And then they're leasing about 25% of the total gym space where they treat their patients. Now, during the average day, CrossFit clients are not allowed to go in and use the open gym space, the 25% that the physical therapy clinic uses. And the physical therapy patients are all contained within that space. They have their own exercise equipment, their own entry and exit. Certainly there's shared bathrooms and shared parking. But the idea is that they have exclusivity over that space. Now, if a stranger walked in that facility, you would never know. There's no wall to indicate, well, this is the physical therapy gym space and this is CrossFit gym space. But in the lease, it's defined. And in terms of Medicare guidelines, they're staying within the rules that are established. So if you wanted to rent space in a Pilates studio, you rent the private exam room, and then maybe you rent half of the space that has the reformers and the other equipment, you know, and during these hours, whatever hours you negotiate, that space is yours. The Pilates studio is not allowed to use that space. It's exclusively used for your patients. And so let me know if you guys have any other questions about that. Nancy and Rick, if you guys watch this and you know of more recent literature, let me show you guys the document that I'm showing here. If I come up here, CMS manual, publication 100-2. Yeah, so this was back from 2004. The red is what was updated back then, but I'm just looking everywhere and I can't find anything specific to this topic, specific to private practice, renting space to provide services to Medicare beneficiaries. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, if you're looking for ways to grow your practice, better understand Medicare regulation, and build the tools you need for success moving into the future, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell. This way you're gonna be one of the first people to know when we post a new video. Guys, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.